A Tesla robot goes haywire on an engineer in Texas factory. Trail of blood, reports Fox News. When I first saw the story a little while ago, I thought there's no way any self-respecting media outlet will ever report this story and imply that it has something to do with the Tesla bot Optimus. The whole story seems so ridiculous to me that I didn't even actually look into it, because I saw it at first from some random website. I thought that this is maybe just complete clickbait. I did not even click on it. But now that everyone is reporting on it, including some big news outlets, I need to jump on the bandwagon and find out exactly what's going on here. Tesla factory worker attacked by a robot that dug its claws into back and arm. A Tesla software engineer suffered serious injuries when he was attacked by a malfunctioning robot on the floor of the electric car maker's factory in Austin. Witnesses told the information last month that the robot, which was designed to move aluminum car parts, pinned the engineer and sank its metal claws into his back and arm, leaving a trail of blood along the floor. The engineer was programming software that controls robots whose job it is to cut car parts from freshly cast pieces of aluminum, while two of the robots were disabled so that the engineer and his crew could work on the machines. A third was inadvertently left on, resulting in the attack 2 years ago. Witnesses told the information. I think it's important to point out that the word attack implies that someone intentionally attacked someone, or something attacked something intentionally. So here it should say a Tesla software engineer suffered serious injuries from an accident caused by a malfunctioning robot, which did not intentionally attack the person. It's an accident, yes. It's a malfunction, yes. An attack, no. Imagine you are driving on the highway and then suddenly a deer runs out on the road and you hit the deer, and then the media says, a deer attacked your vehicle. I need to work on my English, but New York Post needs to work on their English even more. The misreporting here is completely stunning. Oh, but it gets even worse. A simple industrial KUKA robot arm was the cause of the injury. This robot arm is found in all car factories. I'm sure these injuries happen in other factories too. Every single image in the article was of Tesla's Optimus robot, speaking of the Fox article. Even worse, Fox News hyperlinked the words pinned the engineer directly to another article showcasing the unveiling of Tesla's Generation 2 Optimus robot. Why? Elon Musk obviously is upset with this story. Gary Black recommends that Tesla invests in a PR team. On the flip side, James is actually feeling sort of bullish because the media is trying to make people afraid of Optimus this early in this development cycle. The craziest part is, the injury was apparently not severe enough to require the employee to take time off from work. So, where is the super big story of evil robots killing people, hurting them so much that they cannot work anymore? Supposedly the injuries were serious, but how serious can they be if you are coming back to work the next day? This is a pretty exciting announcement from Elon Musk. He says, next week I will do a company talk for SpaceX, followed later by a company talk for Tesla. After the 10K, I will recap the talented team's amazing accomplishments of 2023 and describe exciting plans for 2024 and beyond. The last time Tesla filed their 10K was on January 30th, so we can probably expect the same thing this time too. I would like to see regular updates like that, especially updates where we don't recap every single thing from before. For example, manufacturing is difficult and the speed of production will depend on the one part that is missing out of the 10,000 parts needed. I feel like I've heard that 10,000 times. And each time Elon explains it, it takes away valuable time that could be spent on new things. I would much rather hear more about 4680 batteries Tesla bought, or where Tesla is going to build its next factory and why. Ideally, I would like Elon to give us an update once every 3 to 6 months, and I would like the update to not be during an earnings call, because I feel like there's more pressure, and Elon is super careful about what he says on these. He feels like he's under attack. I would just like him to speak and give us an update. Don't need to answer anyone's questions. Just give us an update of everything that's going on. I'm sure that Elon will talk more about Tesla's FSD and Optimus, the next generation vehicle. He will probably talk about it a little bit as well, but maybe not a whole lot, because you don't really want people to not buy the Model 3 or Y anymore, because maybe they would think, oh, the next generation vehicle is coming out so soon, I'll just buy that one because it's cheaper. A surprise product announcement would also be nice, but I'm not expecting it. So the first Cybertruck just got into an accident, and you can see that the other car does not look good. Yeah, it looks pretty bad, but I'm sure the person that was in this car is okay. He doesn't look that bad. And here's the damage on the Cybertruck. This is just a plastic part, so you simply get a new one and you just snap it back on. It's pretty much an easy fix. You might need to add these bottom parts here for you to snap this cover on, but it's very easy to fix. And over here, as you can see, the Cybertruck got new paint. So you just simply wipe that off and it should be okay. Over here, this might be a slightly deeper scratch, but you can still get that out pretty easily. And this door to me appears to be fully closed, but obviously there is a gap here. So that's the hardest part to fix probably, but even this shouldn't be all that too hard. It has been confirmed that it was the fault of the Toyota driver and that the Cybertruck was not using FSD or even autopilot. The Toyota driver as well as the Cybertruck driver both had no injuries, although the Toyota itself suffered major injuries. And we actually have footage of the aftermath of the accident, video footage as well. You can see the Toyota right here. It looks really bad, and the Cybertruck is over there. Actually, from the distance, it doesn't look bad at all. You can see that door issue there. But yeah. And if you want to do a Cybertruck crash test, the good news is Tesla is sending out more Cybertruck Foundation series invite emails. So check your inbox if you want to get one. Here's a bit of good news. Starting on January 1st, Maine, a state in the US, will be increasing their any income EV rebate to $2,000 up from $1,000, and it is also increasing the truck MSRP limit to $80,000. So the Cybertruck will certainly benefit from that. And a lot of mega packs have been spotted again in Lathrop. It is not quite a record, but it is pretty close. I can't wait for the mega pack factory to be finished in Shanghai. Last quarter, Tesla's energy deployments equaled almost 4,000 megawatt hours. Tesla Chan assumes that this quarter it's going to grow to 5,000 megawatt hours. He then put all of this in a chart, and if we do have such a quarter, which, you know, would be really, really nice to have, but it's not like that's completely impossible. And even if we just repeat Q3, the number will still look incredibly impressive. More than double the energy storage deployment that we had in 2022. That's crazy growth. But you know, Tesla is just an auto company. It doesn't matter that the energy business is growing exponentially, because obviously even if you grow exponentially, you will never catch up to the Tesla's auto business. So yeah, we should ignore the energy business completely, because if you keep doubling every year, you will still never beat the auto business. Absolutely nothing to see here. Don't mind me, I'm just setting a reminder for myself to buy more Tesla stock. Remember the two senators that just wrote a letter to Elon Musk calling for another Tesla recall? Gary Black has some really good points about these two senators. Those who think the Reuters article was the impetus that led these two senators to write a letter to Elon Musk urging an expanded recall do not get how the media functions. The two senators have teamed up before to pressure Tesla. In 2022, the pair wrote a letter to Musk raising concerns about Tesla's braking functions. In 2021, the two authored a letter to the FTC seeking an investigation into advertising of Tesla Autopilot. Like the boy who cried wolf, Most people in Washington, D.C. do not take these too seriously given their frequent letter writing activity. Despite the union trying to sabotage Tesla in Sweden, this year the Model Y is going to be the best-selling vehicle in Sweden anyway. If you didn't know, Rivian is working on R2, which should be a vehicle that starts around $40,000 or $50,000, and it will be a mid-sized electric SUV, so we should keep an eye on that. The Rivian R2 is expected to be unveiled for the first time next year before launching in 2026. Here are some really insightful numbers that Alexandra shared. You can see how many EV models by price range you will find in China, North America, or Europe. You can see that China has so many EV models below $30,000. The US has almost none, and same goes for Europe, but there is huge demand for these cheaper models, I believe. And despite Tesla being in this more expensive price range, Tesla is still doing so well in China. So imagine what's going to actually happen once Tesla enters that cheaper segment. And despite having much lower GDP, China actually leads in BEV adoption over here. That's because you can simply buy a much cheaper EV. The same will happen in the rest of the world once these cheaper EVs hit the market. Cheaper, good EVs. And here's the average retail price of electric cars available in the first half of 2023. These are from Chinese brands in the following countries, and these are from non-Chinese brands. As you can see, the price differences are huge. Of course, it is important to keep in mind that the Chinese automakers, they first entered the cheap segments, whereas all of these other automakers are generally trying to go after the high-end market first and then work their way down. The Chinese are doing the opposite, at least to some extent, certainly. I covered this story yesterday that Tesla is reportedly expected to set up its India manufacturing plant in Gujarat in India, and the article specifically mentions car manufacturing, so we can rule out the possibility of Tesla building a manufacturing facility to produce energy products. Now, mind you, these are not sources that are coming directly from Tesla, so it's not like it's 100% confirmed, certainly not. But the way it is written, it presents a high probability that the factory will be built there unless something changes. But interestingly, Troy says that the Gujarat factory Tesla is planning in India is for the Model 3 and Y. I am personally convinced that it will also make, if Tesla builds a car plant there, that it will also make the next generation vehicle, because a cheaper vehicle in India is just going to sell much better than the relatively expensive Model 3s and Model Ys. I mean, over here in the US, it's not really an expensive car, but in India, a Model 3 would be a bit pricey. Troy, by the way, is one of the very best Tesla analysts to follow. For deliveries, he is the #1 person to follow. Now, he mentioned that there's something about the Model 3 and the Model Y in this article, but I can't find anything in here. I was able to find that Tesla wants to sell Model 3s and Model Ys and a new hatchback in India, although it doesn't specifically say that Tesla wants to produce a Model Y or a Model 3 in India or the next generation vehicle. So I'm not quite sure what Troy means here, that the Gujarat factory Tesla is planning in India is for the Model 3 and Y. Maybe I'm missing something. And Troy says Tesla is trying to figure out if they can sell a few thousand Model 3s and Ys in India. It has nothing to do with the compact car. And he says that his old post is still correct, which has 2 points. One, that the next generation vehicle is not going to be built, or the compact vehicle specifically is what he says, is not going to be built in India, and that Tesla's sales potential in India is practically zero for the Model 3 and Y. Now, Tesla does not sell any vehicles in India, so I think it is important to point out that this is a matter of opinion. My opinion is that if Tesla builds out, for example, superchargers, I think there would be some demand for the Model 3 and the Y. How much, though, is the question. Less than 1,000 a year seems a bit low. But of course, if you don't have the service centers and you don't have the superchargers, then why would you want to buy a Tesla? So if we are talking about current demand without Tesla doing anything, I think Troy is probably right about this. But Tesla doesn't just enter the market and not open any service centers, not open any superchargers. No, Tesla builds out the whole infrastructure. Usually choice points are based on fairly good logic and assumption. So I'm wondering why he thinks that if Tesla builds a car factory in India, why would that factory not make the next generation vehicle eventually? I'll keep you all updated about what Troy says next. The Nasdaq told Faraday Future it is at risk of being delisted because its share price is under $1. At risk of being delisted. I guess when someone pointed out that risk, the stock just went down even more. Dr. Know-It-All John Gibbs was just on TMZ actually to talk about the attack on the Tesla engineer, and he did a really good job at giving more context. He explains how safe Tesla's work environment actually is, and it's pretty cool.
How does a multi-ton robot get in proximity to a human being and actually is capable of physically injuring the person to the point that it draws blood? You would think there'd be every safety mechanism imaginable to assume that doesn't happen.
Right. Yeah, I've had the privilege of actually touring the Tesla Gigafactory in Texas 3 times now, which is very cool. And let me tell you, they are extremely safe. And there's a picture right there. So you can see that there are, there's like a wireframe cage around anything where a robot is moving. And not only do they have the cage, they have a door, of course, to get into it. And if the door is opened, that disables the robot. If there are light sensors and other types of sensors, including, I believe, some places have pressure sensors and all sorts of stuff. So there's layers of security to make sure that a human being cannot enter into a cage while the robot is working. And if the human does enter that territory, the robot will come to a stop instantly. I mean, it's like even if the arm is moving or something, it'll be like, and it just stops. So there are multiple safety systems involved in this. And clearly what happened in this case, well, speculatively, because again, I haven't interviewed the people, so I want to be very careful here. But speculatively, what happened, at least from the evidence we have, is that this engineer was doing some software update or something and disabled these security systems, these fail safes. And that was likely what led to the accident. And again, unfortunate accident, not an attack. So it's very important to be clear about that. And it's unfortunate that the headlines have said attack.
She recently added Tesla shares to her benchmark fund for the first time in months. Talk to me about the timing of that, first of all, of getting back out there and buying Tesla shares.
Yeah, a couple of things have happened in the last month, really, that have increased our confidence in Tesla. It's already high. It's the number 2 position in the flagship fund. But when we saw GM and Ford really pulling away from EVs until they become profitable, that was telltale for us in terms of share gains available to Tesla. What's puzzling is that GM and Ford are not going to be profitable with electric unless they scale. And so it's a bit of a puzzling decision. And the other thing, of course, GM has basically shut down Cruise, partly for regulatory reasons, partly out of an abundance of caution on the autonomous side. And, they're losing a lot of talent because of it. And again, we do believe that Tesla is in the pole position to be the autonomous taxi platform in the United States. Cruise pulling out adds to our confidence there as well.
I would add one more important thing. With LiDAR, even if you can make the service work, the price is going to be quite a bit because LiDAR is just so expensive, whereas the pure camera approach with a few other tiny things, for example, maybe an HD radar would be added later on eventually. That approach is going to be so much cheaper. So for me, I did not need that extra confidence to see GM pulling out, because to me, in my mind, that was always inevitable, really. If not soon, then it would happen by the time Tesla scales and undercuts Cruise.
I'm curious how concerned you are that any further losses at X could force Musk to sell more Tesla shares and put pressure on that stock.
Well, we think that we know that X's traffic is going up. They've obviously had some trouble on the advertising front, but advertising will follow traffic, we believe. And and users, number of users. And we do believe those will continue to increase. His reason for buying X, we believe, is sound and will be successful. He wanted to preserve free speech in the only really global public town square, so to speak. And it's working. If you look at our business, if you look at ARC, our business has been built by giving our research away on X. X is the most productive social network for us as we are attempting to engage with innovators, people who are out there heads down innovating. We're getting information we would never get from anyone else. It's not inside information. It's information about the technologies evolving out there. And I think you'll see anyone involved in technology or in digital assets, so crypto, finds X to be a very productive and necessary outlet and really source of information. So now that's only the first step for him. He really, and again, he emphasized it on our Spaces session with him, he is looking at the everything app. Think WeChat Pay, where it'll be not just a social network, but a network for commerce and for financial services. Remember, that's how he started out in the entrepreneurial world. It was a financial services company, digital financial services company, which he sold to PayPal. And I think his vision encompasses all of that. And if he is right, given where that stock is valued right now, I think less than $20 billion in equity market cap, if he is right, then this is going to be the beginning of a very, very strong run for X. And one other thing.
Yes.
X.AI, which he wants to take public as well, about a quarter of that will go to existing X holders. That's a very nice call option out there.
Let's think really logically here for a moment. If Elon Musk sells more Tesla stock just because he needs to fund X further, does that impact Tesla's fundamentals? No. It only presents a buying opportunity just like it happened before. So if it does happen, I will actually only be happy because I will be buying more at cheaper prices. But I think the risk is real. Elon certainly could sell more Tesla stock to finance X further, especially if he keeps telling advertisers to grow food themselves, on which at this point we can count on, but I think every single controversy is now smaller and smaller and smaller around Elon Musk. Well, at least the negative effects of the controversy. Maybe the controversy itself is bigger, but the consequences of the controversy, I think, are now smaller.
Cathie, I'm curious what your current thinking is on the timeline of when Tesla is going to be able to get there. I mean, this is something that is difficult, we have seen, not just for Tesla, but other companies. Tesla tends to push timelines back. So when do you think that is going to arrive and therefore, I would assume, unlock more value for the shares as well?
Yes. We're seeing some data here that I think is compelling. If you look at a Tesla, and this is based on Tasha Keeney's work, one of our analysts on Tesla, if you look at the number of miles between accidents in a Tesla with full self-driving, it's roughly 3.2 million miles. If you look at a Tesla without full self-driving and do the same analysis, it's 1 every 600,000 miles. So a Tesla with FSD is 5 times safer than a Tesla without, and 6 times safer than the average car on the road, which I guess is in an accident. This is on surface streets. It's actually more than 6 times. Is the average car on surface streets is in an accident once every roughly 200,000 miles. So pretty astonishing safety metrics. And on Spaces, when we were speaking to Elon Musk, I was asking him about NHTSA. NHTSA is the National Highway Transportation Safety Administration. And just how he felt the NHTSA was going to use this data. Was it important to NHTSA? And he said, absolutely. It's a data-driven organization. So we think that the numbers are compelling. And you know that 80 to 90% of all accidents are caused by human error. So taking the human out actually does make a difference.
Everything that Cathie Wood just said is valid. However, I do need to add one important caveat, and that is when I drive through an area that suddenly appears to be challenging, even if FSD is engaged, I will often just turn it off because I know it's just going to disengage anyway, and when it does, it's going to be awkward, especially if I have passengers in the vehicle. Just a few days ago, I was driving and the car started slowing down quickly. Now, it wasn't really phantom braking, but it was sort of phantom braking. Almost there. It was almost as fast as you could slow down as quickly as you can without feeling too uncomfortable. And that happened when I was going through what could appear to a computer like an intersection, but I clearly had the right of the way, and I certainly did not need to slow down, and that slowdown was extremely annoying. So for the rest of the maybe 30 minutes, I just turned off FSD and I just drove myself because I did not want to have another situation like this where I slowed down so quickly with a passenger in the vehicle. So you have to understand, when you look at that data, it does include the easiest parts of the roads mostly, not the difficult parts of the roads. Everything that I just described applies to autopilot 100% as well. Maybe someone else's experience is different in California, but over here in Canada, Vancouver, that's what it is. But again, I really like using FSD when I go through areas where I already tried FSD and I know exactly where it's going to work and where it's not going to work. Then the whole experience is really smooth. I will upload a new Patreon video later today, probably, about the Q4 delivery expectations. In the meantime, if you haven't subscribed to the new channel, Wow with Matt, make sure that you do so. I'm gonna upload another video sometime soon. I already finished shooting. The next one is just being edited right now. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't yet, and I will see you in tomorrow's episode. Thank you so much for watching.